Welcome to the conversation of mass, where we converse about mass. This will be our first part in a four-part series diving into the four stages of matter, the first of which being liquid.
A liquid is a nearly incompressible fluid that conforms to the shape of its container, but retains a nearly constant volume independent of pressure. As such, it is one of the four fundamental states of matter, the others being solid, gas, and plasma, which we'll go over in the next few episodes, and is the only state with a definite volume but no fixed shape.
A lot of things come up when I tend to think about liquid, mainly being water, considering the fact that we depend on it for
Strangely,
life.
the first thing that I think about when you say liquid is just milk. And I don't really know
Milk.
why. I just think of milk.
I mean,
Honestly,
milk
who
is.
even drinks milk? Milk is disgusting
Bro, I
most
love
of the time.
milk. How dare.
Like chocolate milk is fine, flavored milk, but drinking plain milk. Have you ever tried taking small sips of just plain cow's milk?
Well, you're supposed to, chug it.
Yeah, but I don't enjoy just chugging things. Like, you shouldn't have to chug a drink in order to enjoy it. You should be able to take small sips of it in order to get its full volume over time. You don't want to drink it all in 2 seconds. You want to have a nice conversation, a nice stroll at the beach, spend a day with your glass of milk, slowly sipping it until by the end of the day, when it's just gone and you're left with an empty cup, and then you throw it into the water, sad, go home all sad. Don't worry, I don't know from personal experience or anything.
Okay, good to know. I was getting a little worried about your what caused you to have these bad emotions towards milk.
Come back, milk! Okay,
Okay, hold
anyways,
it together.
what you said earlier, water. Caleb, what is water?
Well, water is a liquid that we probably experience most in our lives more than any other liquid. I mean, we depend on it for physical life. Water is a transparent.
More importantly, we depend on water to poop into.
The,
Caleb, okay, just imagine if your toilet had no water in it ever. And how
oh no.
uncomfortable, unsanitary, and disgusting that would be.
Oh.
I don't
I
like to
don't
think
want to
about it.
dive further into this topic. I want to stray away.
Okay, you can stray away as much as you want.
Well, what I was going to be saying is water is a transparent, tasteless, odorless, and nearly colorless
But is it
chemical substance.
tasteless? Is water tasteless?
Water itself, dihydrogen monoxide, is in fact tasteless. What
I
you're
think water's
tasting,
taste. Yeah, I guess. What you're tasting is all the
the minerals inside.
dissolved minerals inside from your groundwater. That's
Yeah,
why you
which is
use Brita water filters or zero water filters. This is not sponsored.
not sponsored. We have yet to get sponsored. So sad. But that's why
Anyways,
school water filters, they aren't as good as like home water filters because they have to filter out water for an entire school. Yeah.
but isn't it weird how water kind of gets its taste from its temperature? Like
What?
cold water tastes sharp and hot water tastes round. Have you ever thought about that?
I have not.
Drinking hot water is like drinking a circle, and drinking cold water is like drinking a triangle.
It's
And
a
not as in the
very
musical triangle.
it's a very
Which,
interesting
why
description.
does the musical triangle exist? Who came up with, okay, I'm gonna take this metal rod and bend it into a shape and then hit it with a stick to produce a noise?
You know,
Honestly, who came up with any instruments? Like, hey, I'm gonna put this elaborate series of strings and hammers together in an order, each to play its own independent note, and then people will tap these buttons with their hands and produce these orchestral symphonies and wonderful masterpieces.
That is definitely a topic to be talked about. Maybe not today, as today we're trying to focus on liquids.
Oh yes.
But maybe even
Liquid.
later today. We'll see.
Speaking of liquid, cats.
Ah, cats.
Cats are liquid.
The old cats are liquid.
Because liquid takes the shape of its container. And you know what else takes the shape of its container?
Cats.
Well, I guess it's more the cat's hair or fluff that takes the shape of the container.
Yeah, but even like the body, like you stick a cat in a bowl and it just kind of.
But if you took a hairless cat and stuck it into a bowl, it would just look scary.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be pleasant to look at. Hairless cats are never really pleasant to look at most of the time. They're kind of creepy.
Yeah, no offense to all the people out there that like hairless cats, but yeah.
Yeah.
It's not the most fun of things to look at.
Okay, way back to water.
Water.
Well, good old dihydrogen monoxide. It's a pretty simple compound.
It is
But
indeed.
it makes up almost everything. Not everything. Everything important. Like us. Me and you.
I mean, we're not composed
And also
directly of H2O.
Squirt.
Squirt as in the
fascinating.
soda?
As in the soda.
Not
I
sponsored?
just had some Squirt. Bro, I haven't had it in a while, but it is so good. That, like, grapefruit plus citrus just makes such an interesting combination like no other. Like, you could have Mountain Dew, you could have Sprite, you could have 7-Up, but none of them are really similar to Squirt.
Huh. I mean, yeah, I've had Squirt, and I personally love it. I think it's a fantastic soda.
Especially when you mix it with other sodas. Like, have you ever tried mixing Squirt with Orange Crush?
I have not. I've
It will
very
blow
rarely.
your mind to liquidized pieces.
Huh. Yeah, I very rarely mix sodas.
I do it all the time because recently it was Thanksgiving and we were required to buy the sodas for our Thanksgiving celebration. And apparently my family's pretty stingy when it comes to soda drinking. So we were left with about 4 2-liters worth of soda. So I've done my fair share of mixing and matching them to find the best combination.
Well, what is the best combination that you've found? Is it the Squirt and Crush?
I have to say Squirt and Crush is the best combination of soda.
I may have to try that.
You should try. You should try right now, actually, Caleb.
I would, but I do not have Squirt at my house right now.
That's really disappointing.
I know, I'm sorry.
Just like Liquid. Liquid is pretty disappointing.
Liquid can be disappointing. It doesn't have
As
to
in
be.
disappointing, because it's not pointy. Because it's actually very malleable and takes the shape of its container.
It does indeed. That is
Or
how a liquid
does it
works.
really take the shape of its container? I've never really liked that definition, that it takes the shape of its container, because it's not really taking the shape of its container. If it was taking the shape of its container, it would replace all the matter that is currently making up the container and replace it with itself. Like if I poured water into like a cylindrical glass, by that definition, the glass should just turn into water and hold that shape.
But the
because
question
it's
is,
taking the shape of the container.
but could you even pour water in the first place? From what the water was being held in beforehand? That would also
No.
be...
Because it would be taking the shape of its... Caleb, that would just destroy everything. If water always just took the shape of its container, that'd be an infinite paradox.
That would
because
be,
technically, what is the largest container? Like you could say, okay, all water is on Earth, so that is technically its container. But then the Earth is also
contained by the
In
atmosphere,
space. Yeah.
which is contained by space itself.
So
And
water would just take over everything if
the
it truly took the shape of its container.
but the question is, how thin would it be spread out?
Well, how
Because
much water is on Earth?
the question
97% of the Earth is made up by our oceans and water.
I did not know that. That is cool.
It's also 2.3 miles deep.
Oh wow.
It would take me at least 16 minutes to run to the bottom of the ocean.
It'd take me quite a bit more than that.
Cross country for the win.
Yeah, math.
We drink a lot of water in cross country. I wonder how much water I've had just this past cross country season. Used this cross country season during running.
Yeah, I need to drink a
About-
lot more water.
My water bottle, I believe, is half a gallon. And during cross country season, I would drink 2 of those a day.
Jeez.
So I was drinking about a gallon of water most days. So that adds up to a heck of a lot of gallons of water.
That is a lot of water, Ryder.
But it's not even comparable to the amount of water that remains in our oceans.
That is true.
The ocean is such an interesting subject. So little of it has been explored. Like, humans take so much more resources and development towards, like, space exploration and energy resources on land, but not actually that much funding for ocean exploration. Because at this point, we've kind of, well, not completely, but lost hope in our ocean exploration because of how impossible it seems.
Yeah. I mean, the ocean is just so vast. Like you said before, 97% of the Earth, which is quite a lot, if I might say.
It covers 70% of the surface.
Okay, yeah.
97% can be found in the oceans. 97% of our water is the ocean.
Oh, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say. But I mean, 2.3 miles deep. That is
That's
quite
only
a lot.
on average.
Yeah,
So if you took the deepest point, that'd be at... It's just scares me to think about. Like, what could be down there? So many things could be down there. So many life forms, ancient fossils, dead bodies from centuries ago, ancient civilizations. You never know.
The deepest point in the ocean, as everyone knows, is the Mariana Trench, or Mariana Trench. However it is pronounced. And it is, it's the deepest part of the ocean, and also therefore the deepest part, or the deepest location on Earth, and is 11,034 meters, or 36,201 feet deep, which is almost 7 miles. That's a long ways.
That's insane. The most we ever ran on a day of practice this season was 10 miles. So running 7 miles down to the bottom of the ocean.
That wouldn't even get you halfway back up.
Exactly. And just... I get uncomfortable at, like, the bottom of a 20-foot pool from water pressure in my ears.
Yeah.
Imagine going in the ocean. What would happen if you jumped out of, like, a submarine 3 miles down in the ocean?
I think the water would immediately collapse the submarine in on itself due to the cabin pressure being compromised. The water would rush in so quickly and the air would rush out so quickly, either the submarine would crumple, explode, or both.
And so would you.
That is true. I mean,
It's a terrifying thing to think about.
As in science, pressure wants to go from an area of high pressure to low pressure. So if inside the submarine is incredibly, well, it's not an incredibly low pressure, it's air or surface pressure, but the pressure all the way down 7 miles under the ocean it's insane. It's insanely high, and it could just destroy a submarine in a fraction of a second if a single seal were to have broken.
Another question I've had about the ocean for a while is, like, how much water is moved through the ocean? Like, does water at the very bottom of the ocean rotate up to the top over time? And would there be a way to determine that?
That
Like,
actually,
if you tracked one molecule of dihydrogen monoxide on its journey through the ocean, how far would it move? Because it'd be in constant motion. Or would it, if it was deep enough? Is there ever a point where the water just has so much pressure being exerted on it? But no, because they're constantly moving around each other.
yeah, as it is in fact a liquid, the molecules would be moving around. Granted, not as much as gas, as they would have intermolecular forces, or IMFs, but they would be much weaker than something like a solid, as if it were ice. And so therefore they would be moving around. And although the pressure would be incredibly high, the pressure of it, let's say pushing downwards or left, would be just as much as the pressure pushing upwards or right, causing it to still be balanced out nonetheless, even though you're still, well, in an incredibly high pressure area.
Well, as the B-52s said in their 1978 pop song, Rock Lobster, there's always motion in the ocean.
There is indeed.
That's a great idea. Anyways, move on from that, you said earlier about ice, and that got me thinking about like ice caps and ice sheets melting and how large of an effect that could have on today's society.
Climate change, global warming, everything.
How, like, all the coastal cities around the entire world could be affected by the melting of ice caps because of how much water it just adds to the ocean.
Not even the coastal cities. The water level could raise hundreds of feet and invade halfway through every country on Earth. I mean, think, besides countries or states or continents that are incredibly high up above sea level, you gotta think, a lot of states are not that high up. The Earth is a fairly...
The Earth is flat?
The Earth is
Is that
not
what you were about
flat.
to say? The Earth is flat?
That's what I was
Jill
about
is
to
a
say,
flat
but that is
earther?
not correct. No, I'm not. Let's stray away from that before I offend
Okay, Mr. Flat
anyone.
Earther.
But I mean, in terms of the surface of the Earth, it is fairly flat in terms of the entire Earth itself, and the power of sea level.
So, where exactly are these ice sheets located? I know there's one in Greenland, there's, North and South Pole, Antarctica. What I've always found interesting about Greenland is the name. Why is it called Greenland if it's icy? And why is Iceland called Iceland
if it's
green?
That's one thing that I've always never liked about those names. I mean, it's so backwards. It's like,
who named Greenland?
I don't know. Greenland is one of those not continent. One of those countries where it's so annoying. It ruins all of your Plague Inc. games. You just can't get anyone to go to Greenland because no one likes Greenland. I'm sorry for people that like Greenland, but
surprisingly, it has a population of about 56,000.
Well, 56,000 in terms of 7 billion isn't that much.
Yeah, it's the 209th smallest population of any country.
The population of Minnesota is 5.6 million. That's what, 100 times the population of Greenland?
Yeah, I'm guessing about, if you added everybody in our county, it'd be about 56,000 or more. Except Greenland has to be times bigger than our county.
Yeah, I mean,
Also, what I don't like is how massive Greenland is. On most maps, it's misrepresented because of maps always have flaws. So if you if you had one of those maps that compares them by actual size and not location,
yeah.
it is huge compared to most places.
Yeah, the area in square miles is nearly 10 times larger than Minnesota.
Nah, that's crazy.
I mean, just thinking of going from nearly 87,000 square miles to nearly 840,000 square miles. That's a lot.
That's a whole lot of ice, too,
That is
to
a
be
whole lot
melted.
of ice. Yeah,
All that,
it's crazy.
all those fluids.
All the
Actually,
not fluids,
not fluids.
liquids.
Caleb, can you tell us what is the difference between a fluid and a liquid? Because I'm always told, hey, drink your fluids. But I mean, that's not really what a fluid is. Because a fluid is it's a substance that has no fixed shape and yields easily to external pressure, a gas, or especially a liquid.
I mean, yeah,
Even the
everyone.
definition sentence here is we all need several glasses of fluid a day. Hey, I'm gonna go drink a glass of
I'm gonna go drink.
oxygen.
Yeah. I mean, that's one thing that I've never liked is the fact that everyone always gets fluid and liquid mixed up, including myself every once in a while. But it just hurts me knowing the fact that fluid can be oxygen, or the other way around, oxygen can be a fluid. When you think fluid, you think like water or milk. You don't think
Milk is disgusting.
we breathe.
I'm gonna mention that every time you say milk. It's
Well,
disgusting.
I'm gonna mention milk like at least once per episode from now on.
Yeah, so many things are fluids that you don't normally think about. Like my room is filled with fluid right now. But if I went to go like tell my parents that my room is filled with fluid, they'd be scared of flooding or something.
Yeah, it's like I am swimming in an ocean of fluids right now.
There's fluid constantly around me at all times.
At all times, unless you're in a vacuum
exerting
chamber.
Pressure.
Or you are completely encased in a solid.
That makes me uncomfortable to think about.
Yeah.
That would just that's like claustrophobia at its worst. Being encased in solid.
No room to move. You just exist in a solid block of solid matter.
Yeah, what would happen if you were buried alive?
I mean,
if you were,
would
there be any chance to escape?
It depends on how and where you're buried. Because, I mean, if you know what you're doing and you were buried in the right spot, you could have a pretty good chance of surviving. It's generally one of the biggest fears for claustrophobics, or people that have claustrophobia. But if you know what you're doing, you can. It's something along the lines of basically shuffling your way through softly packed dirt, kind of swimming to the surface. Because I remember reading something about how to survive being buried alive, but I do not remember much about it.
I mean, you only have so much fluid in that coffin.
Yeah, you gotta make sure to not breathe up all the fluid. That would be bad. That's how you.
I'm gonna take in a good old breath of fluid.
Oh,
Caleb.
Fluids.
Technically, a vape would be double fluid because you have the vape juice, cancer flavor,
cancer
And then you
flavor.
also have the air when you're breathing in, so you get the double fluid experience.
Double fluid experience. Cancer flavored. I mean...
Cancer, mango, blue raspberry, cotton candy, tropical swirl.
Yep. Throw in some mocha while
With
you're at it.
death by asphyxiation.
Yeah.
And popcorn lung. And black death. And the plague. And every known illness imaginable.
Yeah.
And rotten teeth and gums.
Vapes are not the most smart of things to do, especially as
don't suck on the pens.
Young people. Do not suck on thy pens.
Shakespearean no vape ads. Do not sucketh on thy pen.
Oh,
For thy be acting like a hen.
See,
one is shielded from the light in a den.
Some English teacher is going to take that and spend like 4,000 years trying to figure out what you just said there and what it truly means in terms of the English language.
You're never dead from what you've been. And when the light has finally shone, you'll find yourself... I have no more words that rhyme with hen or n.
At your end.
See, this is why I don't do poetry or rap, because
yeah,
I suck at it.
Yeah, I'm a very uncreative person. This podcast takes all the creative juice that I have.
That brings up Homecoming 2019, when we had stand-up comedians come and talk.
Oh, no.
And my co-host Caleb here was volunteered to go on stage.
Oh, no.
And do some improv. And of course, when he was asked to give a word, the first thing he thought of was ham sandwich.
Okay, to be...
So then they had to do an improv scene about ham sandwiches.
Okay, to be fair, I had just watched some episodes of Friends, and you know Joey be loving his ham sandwiches. But also...
Ham sandwiches are pretty good as long as you make them with the right bread. Like, I don't want no Sara Lee white 10-year-old bread. I need some, like, quality brioche, like, Vienna bread buns, sliced by hand, seasoned with onion.
Well, okay
ham
then.
Straight from the oven, with bacon, like, rimmed edges. Oh my gosh, it's making my mouth water. It's making my mouth fluid.
It's making my mouth fluid. But the other...
Wait. Just a second here. Why do people say it's making my mouth water? You have no water in your mouth. You're not spitting out water.
Yeah, it makes your mouth saliva.
You're making my mouth saliva.
We should start saying that from now on.
Anytime somebody mentions something that sounds good, oh man, that squirt and orange crush soda mix, it's making me salivate.
It's making me salivate at an accelerated level.
We should just go around talking like that.
Oh, we'll should.
Get the most attention.
Oh, yes.
And that's all I'm gonna say. Not necessarily good attention, because it sounds pretty weird and messed up.
Totally gotta do it while wearing our shirts, too. That will totally get us all the attention.
The podcast.
But, I gotta finish off my second point, otherwise it's gonna frustrate me. But the other guy that I was up on stage with, he was speaking in Spanish, dude.
Yes, the Spanish talking man.
I mean, okay, I'm trying to sit there.
Stage and just when the improv people asked him for a word, he just started speaking in Spanish.
I mean, he understood what to do, so he could obviously speak English. But
he could speak English. He was just messing with them so much.
Me, a dude who is terrible at improv, decided to go up on a stage in front of all of my peers as a freshman, decide to go up there and control some improv people, and the only help I get is some dude speaking Spanish that he's the only one that understands what he's saying. Not even the comedians
I'm sure a few
knew.
people understood.
Okay.
The comedians kind of just brushed him off a little bit.
Yeah,
You could
they.
clearly see that they were frustrated with him. And it
Yeah,
was hilarious. That was the best part of the show. The improv was okay,
yeah, it
but the
was.
ham sandwich and the Spanish speaking man, that's what made it a deal for me.
Oh, you know it.
Homecoming was indeed an interesting night.
I'm sad that there's nothing like it till homecoming of next year. I love both the
Yeah,
homecoming game and the Saturday dance. If you can even call it a dance, it was more of a
it
jump
was more of a
party.
jump. Yeah, just jumping around,
Yeah, bro,
inhaling some air fluids
my ankles
along
hurt
with
by the
some
end of that night.
soda fluids. Yeah. I woke up the next morning hurt from all the lactic acid buildup. All
Yeah,
the lactic fluid buildup.
the
So many
lactic
things are
fluid.
fluid.
Well, everything that's not plasma or solid is a fluid.
Is a fluid.
That's crazy, bro.
And what's interesting is that you can even kind of turn a solid into a fluid using a fluidized bed. It's a physical phenomenon occurring when a quantity of a solid particulate substance, usually present in a holding vessel, is placed under appropriate conditions to cause a solid/fluid mixture to behave as a fluid. Like
Huh.
if you took air in a bucket of sand and
Oh,
dispensed it in the correct manner, the sand would behave as a fluid or a liquid.
yeah. I actually watched. So I watched this cool guy. Shout out to my boy Mark Rober.
Yep.
Used to
Yep.
be a NASA engineer. Not sponsored.
Also, you shouldn't say my boy because you have no idea if he even knows you.
No, he doesn't. There's
Refer
no
to him
chance.
as my one-way acquaintance.
My one-way acquaintance, Mark Rober, does some great videos. He used to be a NASA engineer. Sent the Mars rover up on over.
Yep.
But took a hot tub full of sand, piped in some fluid tubes, some air tubes
Fluid tubes.
into the right way, and it made it just all liquidy. Like you could
How many
stick a
things
ball
could
in
be
there.
described as fluid tubes?
Lots of things.
Blood
Bas-
vessels.
Ooh,
Organ, like organs, organ pipes.
ooh.
Exhaust pipes. There's a lot of things that could be described as fluid pipes.
Any
Sewer
sort of
systems.
solid canning system, not canning system, solid, I don't know, pipe, I guess you could say, cylindrical object that doth not have ceiling or base, that transports something other than a solid or plasma.
Is a fluid tube. Interesting. Well, that was a really good conversation about liquids and fluids, Caleb. Wouldn't you say so?
That was a good conversation. And you
Well,
just had to go and mention my ham sandwich. But
the ham sandwich.
oh well.
Have a good night, and always remember to converse about Mass. We'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.
Goodbye.